Hi guys.
Hello.
And welcome to this week's topic.
Self-control.
And negativity.
We're a bit shy because it's the first time, of course, but still, we're gonna bring you guys pretty much what we need to talk about between these two topics. The reason why we picked these two topics is because obviously it's mostly in our lives a lot, especially self-control. Pretty much bringing about self-control is pretty much the way how it's in any generosity between yourself and between other people as well, or anything in general. Obviously, do you guys have anything to add up?
I mean, what do you think self-control means to you, dude?
It's like self-control is like pretty much what is it called? You're showing your expression of your feelings, or your expressing your feelings, but like mostly it's expressing how the way you feel, or how the way something presents to you pretty much. You?
I mean, I guess self-control. Self-control to me, it can be used in different ways. I guess it's the way you react to things, the way you see things. But like for example, it's what do you call it? So say if you react to something and it's not, what's an example for? I like have it in my mind, but like can't process it.
So like self-control, I mean, the way I picture self-control, in my opinion, is like practically in the way of like being selfish, I'd say. The reason I say selfish is like many things can make you selfish, and mostly as a part of being selfish, like certain things can approach you in a way that might not make sense in a way, or like selfish just in general, like,
yeah,
pretty much.
I mean, even when you don't even recognize it, like you can even be selfish yourself and you don't even recognize it. You're just like, for other people in your life.
True as well, yeah. I mean, not only that, but like as well, it's like with your friend group or anyone you hang out with as well. You may not see it, like Charles said, you may not see selfishness in yourself, but I'm pretty sure no one is perfect, obviously. So of course, you could be selfish with yourself in general about anything, or certain values and traits that you don't even know.
And sometimes if you play it all the time in your life, it's hard for you to notice that you're being selfish or not, or like being negative to like other things or other people. So like that plays to a negative place in your life too, like heavily, a lot, because depending on any situation that you don't like or anything, you turn on like negative about it. So yeah,
that's right, true. And pretty much like David said, like the last word, negative. The reason we tied it up with negativity is because negativity plays a part in your life about anything in general as well, like I said. Because negativity comes around, what goes around comes around, I guess you could say. I know for a fact I've been negative at times about anything you could say, because of course, I mean, things happen and it turns up to be negative. I know for a fact. And that's just based on my opinion or myself as well.
I mean, I feel like we all have been negative at one point in our lives, even if like we don't, like we couldn't, not even notice it at like that time, but like going past it, or like remember it, and you're like, oh, at this point I was negative to this person, and at that time I didn't even realize it, and to that person, and could have been hard, but
but negativity plays a lot in different parts too, depending on the situation. So like,
I mean, it can't just be you. Sorry, I just interrupted you. But it can't just be like in yourself. Like even family can be negative, or friends. Like it's not just you that can be negative. There's different ways. Or it's like sometimes you can see yourself and say negative things, but I mean, nobody's perfect, and like Eric said, like we all have our insecurities.
End of the day, you're just who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah, you shouldn't let anybody say
anything to
what to
or
do,
like anything negative to yourself, or
yeah,
or stuff like that.
like, I mean, for example, like if you have a negative friend, and you know they're not good for your life, well then, like, there's different ways you can handle that situation. I mean, like, stop being friends with them, or even talk to them, like, about how you're feeling, like, oh, like, I feel like, you know, you're negative, and I don't think I would approach them like that, but I mean, just, like, you know, ease it up. But
yeah, that's true what Jonathan's trying to say, because I mean, of course there's been certain people or yourself as well being negative, and I do remember, like, in high school that there's certain people that were negative, and I always thought that, oh, maybe being that positive person or being that friend maybe will change your life. But a few did change after you could say they growed up, they matured, but still I feel like to this day I feel like some of them are in my life, you could say, but they're not really there. They are negative still, as I could tell, but I still pretty much wish prayers and hope the best for them, because obviously they do have potential in themselves to be out in the world and actually do stuff, but yet they still bringing themselves down, doubting themselves, not even getting the right support they need, usually pretty much like being hard on themselves, and the way how negative could affect their lives, and which makes them a negative person in the way. Yeah,
well, I mean, you really can't do anything about it. Like, if they want to be the person they are, then
just let it be.
Yeah, you can't help them. You can't be like,
because,
oh, I need you to change because I need positivity in my life. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you know, if they are the person they are, then, you know,
just let it be.
It's not let it be. It's just like, maybe you should distance yourself from negative people. Like, there's, you know, boundaries. But I mean, if someone's negative, and, you know, can't do anything about it.
Makes sense. And not only that, but like, practically as well, like, you can't really change anyone in your life that could be negative. You can't support them as well, but still, like, you have to wish the best of hope for them, because as well, like, if you were in their shoes, obviously you don't know what they're going through that makes them that person, because obviously they're going through stuff as well that makes them that negative person. Sometimes you may know their problems, but you still want.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really I just reinterpret everybody, but you're not really in their life to see what, you know, goes through their life. Like, for example, like you said, like, people at school, like, they just go to school. Like, you're not living with them. You don't know what they go through, like, their problems, I guess. But yeah.
Especially too in the household, and
yeah, you don't really.
I mean, even if you're like close friends with them too.
Yeah, even if
you
you're
may
close,
know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean, you guys may keep saying things to each other, but still, like, you don't really know what goes on your thought when thinking about stuff like this. And, like, the reason why it ties in with, like, self-control is because practically how it makes sense to, in a way that negative and self-control could be brought together, of how you're that one selfish person that just spreads that negativity around, but yet you feel like if you spread that negativity, what good do you get out of it? You get me?
Yeah.
it's just like saying, like, you're trying to say, like, how, like, what makes them be so negative, and like how they feel like is it good for them, or like is it like nothing for them, like it's just a normal thing for them.
That's
pretty much.
And so, based on these opinions that we got ourselves, we did pick up certain verses to talk about as well, and that pretty much relate to how negativity and self-control will be in our lives, and how it's pretty much related to the Bible as well.
Yeah, so these topics we thought that, you know, related to self-control and negativity, in our opinions, that we thought were good verses.
And so to start off, I'll go and read the first verse. The first verse would say, it's Matthew 6:33, and what it says is, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added to you. Right, when you guys read those words, what does it mean to you?
I mean, to me,
let me read it again. Watch. But seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you.
He's pretty much in that verse is pretty much saying, first talk to me where you're gonna apply into like the situation, talk to me first to know if it's good or not. That's just pretty much he was trying to God was trying to say, you know, like see me first before you do your actions, to know like if it's all right to say or not to say it.
I mean, I think what they was trying to say is, you know, think about what you're gonna say, what's gonna come out.
I mean, in a way, sorry to cut you off, but in the way that it ties in, I'd say what this verse is trying to say, what Matthew's passage is trying to say is that obviously it's pretty much stating that whatever is said or done by you, of course, God's gonna add it towards, I guess you could say, a list of things he's done, but in reality, does he really check a list? It's like saying that no matter what you do, God will always forgive you, of course, no matter what, he'll always guide you. But you may not like the guides he puts you on, the certain pathways he puts you on, but yet you still will go on for it because obviously you're trying to find out that one answer to why it happened or to what certain reasons happened.
Yeah, even if, how do you say, because I mean, there's sometimes that, I mean, we all wonder why.
Or like why it happened, or
yeah.
like what made it happen.
Like what to me, I would think like, you know, I sometimes have times like, oh, why did this happen? Like, what did I do wrong? But genuinely, it's just God, you know, taking you through a path that's through a path that's
it's like saying that, like, for me, in my opinion, when certain things happen, I feel like at the end of the day, or like I just think about it like the thought of myself, like, why did this happen, or like how did this person end up in my life? Like exactly, like pretty much the way, like how I said in the two topics that we picked, it's like self-control and negativity. It's like, okay, a certain person could come in your life and bring you lots of joy and love and pretty much support you no matter what, but still it's like wondering, okay, is this God's doing or is it our doing? It's like as well saying that what made it be possible for this person to be in our lives and pretty much be there for a certain reason. At times as well, I know for a fact, I feel like God's trying to tell me sometimes when there's a person that comes in my life, exactly. It's like saying, like, one of my friends, which is now a close friend, honestly, I never liked him in my life. He was always negative, and legit, I just didn't want nothing in him. Like, I honestly didn't feel like he'd be a friend. I feel like an acquaintance, maybe someone that you just knew because of you.
Like, you didn't feel right being with him, like his.
You mean you didn't like feel that he was not good for your life, that because
like,
that's saying
trusted, like I feel like he would be someone
good in your life means like, oh, your life is perfect and everything, but it's not that way. Like, everybody's life has,
and that's what I thought that he was. I feel like, oh, he thought that he was perfect,
yeah.
that nothing, like he would never get sick or anything like that. So that's the thing it got to me, because I was like, okay, whatever, like, and the thing is about him is that that's what I always thought about him. And then this one time, obviously it was class, of course, I always had him for like 2 or 3 classes, and my junior for sure knew that, okay, like maybe he changed, and I tried to give him a chance maybe to see if he would open up and like be positive. He kind of did, but then it got to my attention when I told him the truth, when I told him that this certain things affected me, and I was being selfish in the way about this, because I'd always thought, oh, he has this, he has that, how come I don't have that? And so I made it selfish, not just at school but at home as well, because I wanted certain things that I knew I couldn't get, but yeah, I still wanted it because he had it. So I didn't think that to myself, because I made myself look selfish. Not only that, but made myself look negative in both places, at home and at school. So of course, pretty much to tie it all together, we're cool now, we're close friends, and it's a good thing because he changed in a way that he now knows not to be so a one-up person type of way, but he knows exactly that he's positive as well, but yet he can still have fun, and of course also support not only just himself but the people around him as well. And that pretty much sums it up to my story, that My verse is Matthew 6, passage 33. And pretty much Dave would read the next verse.
James, it could be James 3, 1 through 18. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greatness strictness. For we all stumble in many ways, and if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able and also to tremble his whole body. If we put bits into his mouth of horse so that they obey us, we guidance through their whole bodies as well. Look at the ships also. Through they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet its boasts of greatness. How great if the forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. So it's pretty much, in this verse it's pretty much saying with like small blaze of thing, like I said, like a small, you could start like, it's pretty much saying like, this is for example saying like, okay, so you start up a feud, like a little argument with like this person, and how you say it, you guys like say like they started off or you started off, you pretty much started a whole fire that shoots out like, who was it? It was shooting out strictness. So he was pretty much in that verse was saying, when you start a feud, you're pretty much starting a fire with a fire that it could get up to big, or however big, small, depending on the situation, just by a little saying or a little sentence, pretty much.
So like pretty much the verse was talking about like in James 3, passage 1 through 18, as what Dave's trying to say is in a way that you could start out a feud with someone else or someone in general, obviously, and you could of course pretty much the more you feed into that fire, the more it gets bigger. So of course an argument, the more you argue with that person, of course the argument's never going to end, so obviously it's going to get bigger and bigger. So in a way it makes you look selfish, because obviously you're pretty much feeding, not only you're going against that person, but you're also pretty much going against yourself. In a way they're like, you're just arguing.
Yeah, but adding to Eric's point of view, technically you're trying to, so when you start an argument it's between both, but you should be a wise person and step back and be like, oh, that's not something I want in my life, like, because you being, continuing the argument, you're being selfish, like Eric said, because you're not being wise on, your words. And sometimes when you get into arguments, like, come on, you say things that, you
didn't mean,
yeah,
like, to say.
You don't expect to say to that person, because, they're part of your life, and it can happen to anybody, but you should be a wise person and step back and watch, like, what you say, because some things come out and you don't even realize the heck you're saying.
Yeah, like Jonathan says, like, you could say certain things and you feel like at that point, of course, you may or may not be thinking about it, but like, say for instance, if you don't think about it, of course you may be saying certain things that could hurt the person,
that can affect their lives,
Yeah, and of course, like, you may say like whatever, but still at that point you kind of have regret the most. Like, I know for a fact, if I do have an argument with someone, sometimes I may say it to their face because obviously they need to hear it, or sometimes I may just say it out of nowhere, because obviously it's a thought of you not thinking about what you're saying, but you're still saying it towards that person because you're trying to hurt them in a way, so it makes you look selfish and negative, because obviously you give no damns and practically you're just saying what you gotta say, and it makes you look bad, honestly, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think that you're like, oh, you want to tell someone like how you feel, But sometimes in a way you think that it's good for that person to hear, but it's the way you see it and the way the person sees it. Like sometimes you could be coming off really rude, and you know you may not recognize it because you're like, I want that person to hear what I'm thinking. But sometimes you may think, oh, it's like, oh, this is the right words to say, but not everybody will see it your point of view. Like everybody has a different point of view on how, you know, you say things, and it can affect somebody's life. Like even if you think it's the right thing to say, sometimes it's not. And you know, you always have to think about someone else's point of view and how they would take it and reflect on it. So
it makes sense, yeah, because obviously, like, not out of topic, but morally, like kind of how I have a situation going on at the moment. It's like saying, I kind of want to confront this person because in the way they've been acting and how trying to compare themselves towards me in a way that obviously I have no idea why or what made them be this way, in a way that when I got compared, it made it seem like, in a way, I just don't understand how they're trying to be in a way comparable to me when I'm still trying to figure out the question to why I know I should at least talk to them. But still, I feel like maybe, of course, sometimes you could say you could distance yourself from this person, but sometimes it's like, are you really helping them in a way, or are you telling them in a way like that? It's just a question to like why or how exactly. And pretty much in my situation, in my pretty much side of the story, I feel like, well, not even side of the story, but in my opinion, I feel like staying away from that person will pretty much turn off that fire, because obviously you're not giving in and feeling like, oh, okay, if they want to compare themselves, obviously I should just feel like I should compete against them. So of course it's like saying, like, if I get something new, obviously they're gonna see, oh, let me get something new as well, because obviously you're pretty much feeding into fire. You're pretty much giving it to them, saying like, oh, I got this, what do you have to offer, or what do they have to offer? So it makes you look selfish in the way of self-control, and of course makes you look negative, because obviously you're giving them the way how they're getting the way of pretty much they feel like they could be better than you. And obviously the only person you can really be is yourself, because obviously you earned that certain thing. You earned that certain thing because you earned it in a way that God rewarded you for doing what you did, that you may or may not know, but obviously you did something to get where you're at the moment.
Well, I mean, adding to your perspective, like, God did not bring you here to, you know, be someone else. Like, God brought you here to be who you are, what you are dedicated to do, what you dream of, not to be like, oh, you know, someone else. Like, come on.
And test, and he wanted to bring you here to see if you could, if you have the faith in him and he has the faith in you. That's the only way to know that God is really with you, if you have faith for him. If you believe in him, you believe in him, and he believes in you. If you have faith for him, he has the faith. You have he has the faith in you, and that's why God rewards a lot of people, and especially too in your family, that he knows that all you guys love him. He loves you back no matter what, and he will forgive you of anything you ever did in your life, or like anything that's sinned. He will forgive you. Like, just like if, say, like, okay, I did this, like I did a bad thing, you know, and later on, you know, like you tell him like, oh, I'm sorry that I did this, or like this is a sin I did to you. He will forgive you, and he will still love you, and then he will let you go on in your life, and help you through any situation, and like showing you like, you got this and you could do it. Let me test you. Let me put you in these situations are good situations to see if you're able to handle or not handle it. That's what he's pretty much.
What if you're getting sentimental? I'm gonna cry. But anyways, yeah, what David said is, you know, the Lord didn't bring you here to be someone else, to compare yourself to someone else. You're your own person.
He brought you to.
Yeah,
he brought you down here to serve him, to show people that, how you say it, you are like that. Jesus is real. Like, he is here. Like, he will help you through anything. He loves you, no matter what, who you are.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like pretty much adding on to what David's saying and Jonathan, is that not only God will forgive you, but as well you have to forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, then what makes you a better person in general, because obviously if you don't forgive yourself for what you did or what certain things you're doing in life, obviously you're not gonna get far in life as well. Because if you keep doubting yourself, of course you're being selfish in a way that you're bringing negative thoughts in your mind and not even giving really care into the values you picked on or certain goals. It's like saying if you don't make it that goal but you want to make that goal, obviously you're not supporting thinking that you'll actually make it. Of course, not only that, but like if people may not support you nor may not want you to succeed in life, you could say, there's always that one person is pretty much God, because God obviously is helping you and making you know that he'll help you no matter what. Anyway, obviously. And that includes that verse. Now let's read the last verse, I'd say.
Okay, the last verse I'm going to be reading is Proverbs 29:11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. So to me, this verse stood out because, basically it's saying that another person may react differently. They may, speak out to a situation that's not a wise way to speak out. Like they might say something that's harmful or, rude. But, a wise person, like it says, a wise person would hold it back and not say it. Like keep it down, because I know we all have situations where we like want to say something, but we know it's not the right thing. And we keep it to ourselves, and that's something that's good. But sometimes keeping it to yourself can be like bad for the other person. But in some situations, it's necessary to keep it back, keep it to yourself, like not say something. There's different ways that verse can be used or that saying can be used. But yeah, I don't know, that one just stood out to me. But
what do you think, Dave?
what do you guys say about the verse? Why should she like what do you mean?
It's just like pretty much just like how you saying like it's just end of the day
you're your own person. You decide your decisions.
You decide your own decision, and God will let you know if it's good or bad end of the day. And he will know like what's good for you and what's bad for you.
Yeah.
And obviously, like the verse says, you're a fool to your own spirit. But not only that, but you're pretty much not giving yourself enough credit towards what you did or what certain things you accomplished in yourself by yourself or with God. Either way, no matter what, you still have to give yourself credit for what you did, because obviously you did it for some reason, and it pretty much brought either good joy or something good about yourself or towards something good about others. I know for a fact if I do something good, obviously I'm either doing it for myself, but that makes you look selfish. So obviously you have to share that selfishness not only with yourself, but of course in a good way. You have to bring it out and be feeling good about yourself with other people. In a way, spread that vibes and know that it was worth it at the end, because obviously you can't just make yourself look selfish nor negative in life.
Or another example you can go to is, oh my god, I feel like my person. But another example you can say is like, say, I know it's rude to use this. I don't know if it's rude, but say there's a homeless person, and you being a good person, you give them money or something, food. But you're still, you still do a good thing, and it's, of course, it's, grateful. But you're over here talking or being negative. Like, it just doesn't match. Like, you can be over here doing a great deed or something, but then you're still over here being negative, and, it just doesn't click, like, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but you can't be too, like, I mean, you'll make your own decisions, but you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna give a homeless person because it makes me feel better. It makes
you look like,
it makes,
I gave someone money.
Yeah, I give someone money, so I'm perfect, I'm nice. But you're over here still being negative to other people, talking behind their back. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you're not doing yourself good.
Not only that, but it doesn't make it good out of your heart, because you're saying, I did something good, so God's gonna repay me with
goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not how it works. It's just not. But
because God has many ways of treating you or even repaying you, but repaying you morally is more depending on His terms, on His ways. You could say His rules in a way. Practically, how if like Jonathan said, you can't just give out a homeless person saying like, I give him money, so God repay me.
Well, yeah,
me
God
rewards.
repay me with goodness. Like, no, come on, like that's not
how it really works. Because obviously, you're not showing yourself
Yeah.
dignity or nor values.
Yeah, because you're over here talking about another person, but thinking you do something good. Like, for example, giving a homeless person money, and you're here, well, I did something good, so now God has to repay me with something good. Like, no, come on, it's not how it works. Like, you have to do it with like the goodness of your heart, not just, oh, I'm gonna give this person money because God's gonna repay me because I'm perfect. It's just not how it works. Like, and in my opinion, that's just selfish right there. But
Honestly, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
There's our last final one. Pretty much this last verse just explains how, of
both
course,
negativity and
Control.
Self-control.
So, Jocelyn, you could
So-
please read it.
Maybe reading 12:19 through 21. Beloved, never avenge yourself, but leave it to the warmth of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for by so doing you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So basically, it's trying to point out, just because someone is how do I say it? Someone is rude to you, doesn't mean you have to be rude back. For example, like if someone's negative to you, doesn't mean you have to be, selfish and say something rude back.
Just like if I say like, Jocelyn, you're ugly, then she can't say it back to me, like.
Because I'm a wiser person and I'm not rude like some people. I'm a wiser person and doesn't say it back. Be like, oh, David, that's why you look like that. But I'm gonna be the wiser
You look
person.
like a marshmallow.
And
It's like saying, always kill him with kindness is practically what I
Yeah.
see it. The way Jocelyn read it is pretty much say kill him with kindness. And how like the verse said as well that no matter if they're rude to you or if there's something being negative, if they're bringing negative vibes and they're being selfish to themselves, obviously, then it
doesn't mean
doesn't mean that you should fight the battles. Of course, God always has something for someone in a way that he'll punish them for certain reasons for the way they are. Like I
Yeah.
said, going back to my story, I may be punished or maybe that person might be punished, but
or maybe it could go
it'll go both ways.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like John said, it could go both ways. But we never know when God will punish you or when it will happen. And that's why, in a way, I'm keeping myself distant in a way of how I'm portraying a good thought and not really focus on it. Because obviously, if you focus on your problems in life or in that certain situation, you're really holding a grudge against that person. You're not moving on forward. So that's why I keep on looking straight ahead and keep on going for my goals in life. Because obviously, I don't want something to be held back, nor let it be an obstacle in my life, getting my goal.
Yeah. So basically, be a wiser person. Yeah.
It's like, to finish it off, I mean, like in my opinion, the way after reading these verses, I feel like each of them tells you certain things of how it connects to how God would make you think of, like, how do you say it? It's like saying, always be that bigger person, but yet know what you're doing exactly before you actually do something. Because obviously,
Pretty much like always people say, think before you do.
but
That's a good way to put it. Good job.
yeah, think before you do, but also have the trust in God. Because obviously, you may say, oh, I'm going to take it in my own ways. Like, God, let me handle it. But obviously, God's always going to be there. So obviously, He'll tell you,
He'll show
you in a way. I should say that He'll guide you of like, and His power and His will. He's pretty much the only one that has all the will and everything in life.
Yeah.
it's obviously too, of course, like in my opinion, of course, I still need to work on being
better
person as well, but still, of course, keep on doing what's right, and hopefully still being guided by God to why certain things happen and what can I do to make it better, or in what situation He'll help me in.
Yeah.
And
so basically, it's just saying nobody's perfect. Basically, nobody is imperfect. We all have our ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And something I want to add to Eric's is, you know, someone can be rude, and you're like, and you know they can continue being rude, and you're like, well, why hasn't God punished them for what they're doing? You know, God has their way. God has His ways on, you know, what He's doing. But it doesn't mean that you have to be that person to tell them, like, because you're technically doing the same thing. You're being a negative person. You're being a toxic person to that person. But I mean, God always has His ways on how He's gonna punish that person. So it's not always gonna be at that time, but you know, it would happen soon when God wants it to happen. But
David, do you have anything to say? Like
Yeah.
to finish it off?
Talk to someone and get their advice if like any situation that you didn't like and you didn't want to confirm right away. Talk to someone first, get their opinion, and see if you want to talk to them about it or not. If you sometimes you need to talk about it, because if it keeps bothering you and it's taking you and your life run in your future, like it's to the point where you had to talk to someone to do it. So talk to someone that you feel comfortable with and get their advice.
well, basically, it's saying like, yeah, you can talk to someone, but it's always gonna be your choice, your decision.
Mm-hmm.
You can get different people's opinions. You know, I mean, we all have done that, but at the end, it's always gonna be your decision.
It's like saying, especially if you have like the certain problem with that person or certain situation with something in life, you obviously have to face it, of course, no matter what. But it's like John said, it's your opinion and it's your way of doing how you'll take it and how you want to fix the situation, and all three together. And yeah, that's pretty much it.